AM 1430, WIRE, Indianapolis.
This is the Wire News Center at 11 o'clock. I'm Sharon Alseth. Indianapolis Public School Superintendent James Adams is recommending over $1 million in cuts for next year's school budget. Reporter Ken Owen says Adams made the suggestion at a school board meeting tonight.
The Indianapolis Public School Board had earlier asked Superintendent James Adams to look for areas where spending could be limited. Board President Richard Guthrie says Adams has recommended over $1 million in cuts to the proposed 1982-83 budget figure of $155 million. Guthrie says the reductions include a $300,000 cut in utilities, a $61,000 reduction in furniture and equipment, and a $39,000 lessening of new vehicle purchases. Guthrie says the $1 million cuts would put next year's budget figure at about the same level as this year's. The board will hold a public hearing on the budget August 17th. They'll vote on the proposal August 26th. This is Ken Owen.
Today was the first day of Joseph Paul Franklin's trial, the man accused of shooting and wounding.
Holiday traffic has always produced a large number of accidents and deaths, many of them caused by drunk drivers. Purdue University professor Roger Makel says better enforcement is needed to crack down on intoxicated drivers. Makel is proposing use of video games to test the motor skills of drivers who police think may have had too much to drink.
Some sort of very portable, handheld, computer-type game that could be developed by appropriate scientists to determine the degree of impairment, correlate it with a significant level of impairment as we do with blood alcohol level right now.
Makel says breathalyzer and blood alcohol level tests are cumbersome and require too much police time. Makel recently testified to a Senate subcommittee on alcoholism and drug abuse. Ken Owen, Indianapolis.
After another in Washington, the latest of which would create a constitutional amendment against abortion. It's an idea whose time is here. Use video games to test just how drunk the drunk driver really is, says pharmacology professor Roger Makel of Purdue.
The whole idea is that the kids today are becoming so proficient in this that it should be very easy to develop a test system based on some video game, for example. There are road driving type things that would test your performance. It's not to say that the Indiana State Police patrol car would be running around with a Pac-Man game in the back seat.
Well, with 25,000 deaths on the highways each year, says Professor Makel, he is serious. He says it is a novel new idea. It is one worth checking out. I'm Gil Fox on the ABC-FM radio network.
Instead of pulling you over to walk a chalk line or to kiss a breathalyzer bag, how about cops testing your alleged alcohol impairment with a Pac-Man-style video game?
It's something that has never really been proposed, and since 25,000 deaths a year going on for the last decade or more is serious enough to have both the Senate and the House take a look at it, they're willing to look at anything, and they thought this was a novel and new idea that may be worth testing out.
Purdue U, Professor Roger Makel. Video games to test for DWI. Maybe instead of eating the monsters, you make sure you don't run over any of them. For ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson.
It seems to me that in less than 600 days in office, the president has exploded the myth that the Republican Party is fiscally responsible and good for business. We have the biggest deficits in American history. We have more business bankruptcies, more farm foreclosures, more home foreclosures, more unemployment than at any time since the first Herbert Hoover was in the White House.
Democratic Senator Alan Cranston of California says President Reagan's economic policies are putting a stranglehold on the American farmer. Cranston says economic reform is needed to return farming to its previously profitable state.
America's farmers are now paying out more in interest rates than they are taking in income. What we need to do is move toward a balanced budget and get the Federal Reserve Board to change its policies, change the situation where the central bankers can force interest rates to be so very high. Until they're down, nothing is going to really make it possible for business to hum and for farmers to be successful.
Cranston was in Indianapolis today for a Democratic fundraiser. Ken Owen, Indianapolis.